hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors Sunday edition. Welcome, everybody, and special thank you to all of you who are participating in this weekend's shows. We had an amazing couple of shows. It was really incredible. On Friday night, we had Ron Moorhead, of course, of the Sierra Sounds and the book The Quantum Bigfoot on the show, and it was just an incredible discussion and opportunity to talk to Ron and kind of, see what he thought about a lot of things. And I really, really enjoyed that show. It was a lot of fun, and he's just a super nice guy. I enjoy every guest we've ever had. I don't think I've ever had a bad guest on the show, which is really nice. But every guest brings something really special, and of course, Ron has so many years of insight and research, and has done so much work on his ideas and theories and publishing it into books and such. It was really an honor to have him on, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did not see that show, look at our archives here on YouTube, because it was Friday night show. It was just really fantastic, and just an incredibly intelligent man, and it was truly an honor. And last night, of course, we had Joe Roop of Lighting the Void, and the founder of Fringe FM. And Joe is a great guy. He and I are just so in sync on so many things, and I really like talking to Joe because it's I don't know, we just resonate really well, and the conversation flows so easily, and it's so much fun to bounce ideas back and forth. And I don't know who was being interviewed, him or me, because it was just, that's the way our conversations go. And I really had a great time, and Joe's just a fantastic guy. And it was just a pleasure to have him on the show. So hope you guys got a chance to check out both of those shows. Of course, our night terrors are a shorter format. They're just ghost stories, or just stories of different phenomena. Normally ghosts, though, because there's only 11 jillion stories of ghosts out there. So it's a pretty easy phenomena to track down very interesting and compelling stories about. So I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. I'm sorry. I'll get back to work here. Oh yeah, I've got to talk, don't I? I kind of forgot. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hope you all are ready. And during the duration of our show tonight, the phones are open if you want to call in and be a part of it. That would be just fine. I would love to hear from you. The phone number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. Okay, Moog. All right, so welcome to everybody that's in the chat already, and that's out there listening, and to our fantastic moderators, thank you guys for towing the line and keeping things running smoothly on that end, because God knows I can't keep an eye on anything. I'm just usually just trying to keep up with what the hell I'm doing, so thank you guys for doing that. Of course, our mods are Cha-Cha, Moog, Yon Monster, The Duke, Julia, which is also, you'll see her name is Black Tree. We've just got fantastic people representing the show, and thank you all for coming in night after night and doing this. I know it's sometimes a less than fun job, but I appreciate that you guys are doing it. Thank you very much. So let's continue on. I've got stories pulled up for you, and I'd love to read them if you'd love to hear them. So let me just pull up my sleeves and get to work here. It's time to get to work. Sorry. I'm just a little pumped up. It just was such great shows this last couple nights. It just makes me fall in love with the show all over again. And I've always loved doing the show, but it's just a lot of fun to have those conversations. So It's exciting, and there's more coming, ladies and gentlemen. There's some really big guests right around the corner as well, but I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet because they're not scheduled yet. Once they're scheduled, I'll be happy to tell you all about them. And of course, our very own Deb will be coming up the first part of this next month. She will be April 10th. We'll be doing Deb. Let me rephrase that. We will have Deb as our guest on the show. She will be doing live psychic readings to callers of the show. So the number that you see on the screen now will be the number that you'll call on April 10th if you want to get a free psychic reading. And it's a lot of fun. Deb does a wonderful job and has been a part of the Paranormal Portal since pretty early in its inception. She's been doing this for a long time and has been absolutely wonderful. So that'll be the 10th. That's the let's see, anything else scheduled? I'm just looking over this quick. Yeah, that's yeah, no, on the 9th we were going to have an episode with the Irish Bigfoot Research Organization, but with all of the situation now, they've opted to delay that for the time being, but there will be a very big announcement from them coming up when we do get them on the show, so stay tuned for that as well in sometime in the near future. We'll see. Maybe it'll be a couple more weeks. We'll see how all this wraps up. Of course, our love and prayers go out to all of you out there. It's certainly a concerning time and one in which we're all, kind of walking on a razor's edge, so take care of yourselves and stay safe. Stay in if you can. It's not worth the risk. I just, this is a monster, whatever it is. So let me take a drink and I'll read you a story. That's some nice water, just like Mom used to make. Right from the tap, she would just lift it and it just perfect. All right, let's get to the stories here. This first story is coming from North Carolina and has to do with family and friends visits. I love these stories because I think it's incredibly powerful when our deceased loved ones come back and visit and make us feel loved and like they're still a part of us, even though they may not be here physically, that they're still with us. And I think that that's incredibly cathartic, very powerful, and it really kind of fills in those holes in a big degree. It has for me personally. I've experienced this phenomena through dreams, and I think it's very, very, very real. And maybe that's me being wishful and, wanting to believe it's real, but I really believe it's real. The experiences I had were so profound and so healing that they were just perfect. So I believe that they do come back to us in many different ways. So I hope that any of you that are out there suffering the loss of someone you love, I hope you have one of those visits as well. They're just really beautiful. So let's get to this story. It says, I've had many experiences regarding my mother who passed away a little over... okay. Yeah, sorry. I just got a message from Don. I had messaged him earlier. There was just, in the county we live, it's on the very north tip of Idaho, so we're pretty remote here, but we actually had our first confirmed case in this area. So I just messaged Don, and he just messaged me back with some information about it, a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely concerning. So anyway, back to the stories. You don't want more reminders of all that crap. You're not here for that, so my apologies. I don't mean to keep bringing it up. But it says, let me start over. I have had many experiences regarding my mother who passed away a little over 2 years ago, but recently there's some stuff that I just cannot figure out. I've had a recurring dream where I have a pain in my left lower abdomen, and it feels as if it's full of energy and about to explode. And it's a very strange feeling, and the most recent of these dreams had my mother hugging me and saying, "I'm sorry to give you this pain." My father has had a number of health problems since the passing of my mom, and the one that relates to this is how he has polyps in his intestines that give him pain after eating anything with seeds in his left lower abdomen. Is my mom talking to my father through me? Why am I feeling the pain? Well, last week my sister came home from work and found 4 small mirrors that have been hanging on her mantle broken. And there were 5 total, and only 1 is still hanging. She claims that there is no way they could have fallen off the mantle without knocking additional stuff off. My sister has given these mirrors as a gift from my mother. Now, my sister has had her share of problems. Over the past couple of months, she's overcome them and is much happier than she used to be. Are the broken mirrors a good sign or a bad one? Are the two stories related? I'm usually good at figuring this stuff out, and I'm the only one in the family that seems to have direct contact with my mom since her passing, but I'm getting no answers from this thus far. Yeah, that's the tough part. When it's symbolic things, it's hard to understand. What do those mean? Is there something that this person is trying to say? And actually, we had got a call a while back on an episode long ago, and Dee brought some interesting things to light that oftentimes spirits will use, symbology, such as this. And sometimes you got to sift through what are the possible meanings, but I don't know. I just in reading this, I don't know. I don't know what the possible meanings could be, but usually they're pretty well directed towards the people receiving them, and they're hopefully going to be the ones to figure out what's being said to them. But let's go to the next one as soon as this one closes. We had a beautiful thunderstorm here tonight. It was really cool. There was just a hailstorm, like boom. It wasn't hardly as much rain as it was hail. But the weird thing is I swear to God, it was falling in clumps. And sometimes there was these splats. I was looking, I love watching thunderstorms, and there was these splats. They were like these groups of water and hail kind of mixed, and they'd come down and just go splat. So it was like they were probably forming some pretty big hail, but didn't have a chance. So it was just this little pea-sized stuff in just falling in clumps with water. It's like, pow. So it was pretty interesting. I've never seen that before in my life, but I found that pretty unique. But it was beautiful, very electric. Lots of thunder and lightning, which I love. The next one's coming from New York, and this has to do with family friend visits as well. And this one's a very quick story. It says, I usually don't get ghostly experiences. This may be, as far as I remember, my only one, or at least the only one experience I can think of at this moment. But honestly and truly undoubtedly, I believe in ghosts and spirits. This happened when I was in third grade. I was sitting in class doing my work when I got this really strong feeling that I should look behind me. Well, I did, and when I looked back, I saw a shadow. It looked like my mom's Uncle Nick, who had died, and I think about 3 years earlier, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I didn't think it was possible. I blinked, and he was gone. 4 of my friends had been looking in the same direction I was looking in, and I asked them if they had seen anything, and they all said that they had not seen anything but the windows. Well, I got really freaked out, and when I got home, I asked my mom what she thought of the ghostly experience, and she thought that I was either tired or just making things up for attention. Even though I was absolutely positive that I saw my mom's uncle then, now I'm not entirely sure. Please tell me what you think in your comments. And this kind of goes back to my theory about experiences having as much to do with the person experiencing them as they do with the phenomena itself. I think that things can appear to just one person, even with a group of people looking the same direction. And it has to do with perhaps the experiences, maybe not on a physical level at all, but you're seeing possibly through a dimensional gateway, in a sense, or a partial visit or view through a dimensional wall that lies between us. And since it's maybe aimed at that person was the only one that was given that connection from the spirit to observe it. The other children weren't. And so I think that there really is something to that. I think that having these experiences is very intentional. I think that ghosts appear very intentionally most of the time. I'm not saying they can never be, just observed, but it seems in instances like this where it's a very personal visit, that this kid was, maybe it has to do with resonance, maybe it has to do with energy that's shared between them in a love or that familial relationship that caused that spirit to be able to project that connection to him, to allow him to partially observe him. And that's why it appeared like a shadow too. It wasn't a clear vision. But, there are certainly those among us who see well, they may see most of what's going on around them in the terms of spiritual presences, and they just seem to have that connection naturally to the other world. But I think it does have as much to do with the person as it does the phenomena. I don't think it's just random. I really don't think that's random at all. I think that those experiences of seeing spirits is very targeted. And I think that's cool because it also means that there is a purpose to it, maybe a higher purpose, maybe just a spiritual purpose for that person. Whatever the case, it does reaffirm that our loved ones live on and they can still communicate with us. Maybe it doesn't work for everybody. Maybe it can't work for everybody. Maybe some people physiologically, as they exist in this manifestation, don't have that conduit as strongly built up as other family lines. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I really think I'm on to something here. I think I am. So just my own 2 cents, whatever that's worth. But I think it's cool. I think that's to me that feels like progress, like understanding a phenomena a little more, or at least a theory about a phenomena. I'm not trying to say nobody else has ever had that thought, but I've not come across that anywhere. So I believe that it's my thought, but it could just be me coming to the same conclusion as dozens and hundreds of other people. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just making something simple more difficult and complicated than it actually is. I don't know. That's possible too. So this is the next one. It's coming from Ohio, and it has to do with a haunted life. So this is going to be a lifetime of experiences. It's not a very long story, though, so apparently they've had a short life. I don't know. I sit at the computer, my heart pounding. Someone or something is making its presence felt. I feel relieved to feel the presence of good, and I know that it is most likely leading up to my grandmother, known as Granny. There's something behind you, my frightened friend tells me through our live chat. I know, I told him, smiling. Chuckling to myself, I hear something in the kitchen. There in the reflection of the dishwasher is a little boy. He looked about 6 or 7 years old. His brown chocolate bangs were parted, and they reached to at the top of his eyes, barely covering them. The rest falls no lower than the middle of his highly placed ears, and I then notice a little red scratch above his right eye. He has tears running down his rosy cheeks. He's sitting down, one leg laying on the ground, bending at his knee slightly. So it is behind his other leg, and the knee on that leg is in the air with his hands resting on it. His dirty red and white striped shirt, faded blue jeans makes me more sad than scared. His dark brown eyes were staring at me, not with evil, but more like a cry for help. The poor boy looked scared. I needed and wanted to help him. I got up to see him outside of the reflection, but he's not there. Where did he go? I looked back at the dishwasher, and he was starting to fade before my very eyes. Now I'm home alone, and I looked at the dishwasher thinking back to about a year ago when I saw the little boy, and I still felt like crying because I couldn't help him. Then my dog Max starts barking at the dishwasher. Max, what's the matter, boy? I said and petted his head gently. He is staring right at the dishwasher, and I look up only to find the little boy sitting in the same position again. The same hair, tears, clothes, the same eyes pleading for help. And I look at him for a second, wondering what I could do to help him. Why won't he talk? I think in my mind that what he could possibly want, and then he suddenly disappears. It dawns on me that he wants to be free, but he's too scared to talk to me. Jill, take Max out before we leave, my dad shouts to me. Max, where are you? I call out. And then I spot something behind our dining room table. Thinking it was Max, I walk over there. Max, there's no need to hide. I'll get to you, you silly puppy. I say, laughing to myself, and before I know it, I hear a puppy trotting up behind me. I look back to see Max coming up behind me to see what I was doing, and I look back behind the table, and I still see it. I recognize it, and I knew it looks so familiar. Then I realized it was the little boy I saw about a year ago. However, why wasn't he in the reflection? This was the first time the poor lost spirit was courageous enough to show himself without the help of the reflection on the dishwasher. His little hands were around the chair legs, and his eyes still looked at me for help. "What's wrong, Jill?" I said to take the... What? What's wrong, Jill? I said to take the damn dog out now. Oh, okay, this is the dad. "What's wrong, Jill?" I said to take the damn dog out now. I looked back at my dad, and then quickly I turned back to the boy, and he was gone. I know that the little guy needs help. How can I possibly help him? He keeps disappearing before I get the chance to speak to him. I now realize that he's starting to become less afraid, as he now is not only in the reflection, but now he is in other parts of the house too. There has to be a way to help him. There just has to be a way. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it's tough to understand what they mean, what they want, what the problem is, what happened. Why are they so, I don't know. Why are they so afraid? That's the scary part. Is it what happened in those situations? And the other scary part is it really a child? That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not I'm not a big believer in a lot of child spirits, but I suppose that it's definitely possible. I just think that oftentimes those are not kids, and they are something entirely different. I'll just leave it there because I don't know. Ask me what? What are people going to ask me, Julia? I see Julia posted the phone number. Again, the phone number is 720-923-0500, and you certainly can call in and ask me questions if you have a question. I'd be happy to try to help or try to answer it. I don't know if I have a lot of answers or many at all, but I'll do my best to help if you got a question. Let's see. This one is coming from... this is one I just read. Yeah, you got to close those. All right. The next one is coming from Ohio as well. It says it has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches. It says, my brother's had a few paranormal experiences himself. The first story he told me about was when one day he was walking in the hall and he heard something from up the stairs. Our stairs always creak, so I guess he wanted to see who was coming up or down the stairs. Well, he looked at the stairs and he saw a bluish figure that looked like our granny walking up the stairs, creak by creak, and disappearing in our old cream-colored walls. Another time that I was there for was... Oh, okay, so this person's present. Was when my brother and his friends were making a home video for the fun of it, and they were taping in his room, and I got to be the camera woman, and he had another one of his friends over, and they were making it seem like someone was sleeping, and this person with the unibrow attacked him. The scene was right beside my brother's black bed, and when we replayed the tape, we noticed something on the screen, and it was a greenish-yellowish figure beside his bed, and it moved a little bit, and it looked as if our granny was watching the video too. To be sure that it was not just the television, we played the tape on a different television, and the mysterious figure still lurked in the video. We thought nothing of it and thought it was the videotape, and 2 weeks after the videotape experience, my brother said that a chill woke him up in the middle of the night, and he looked at the same creepy figure that we saw in the video was there. He blinked a couple of times, and then it literally flew out the door. He told me that it was like nothing that he had ever seen before, that it was quite a few years ago. That was quite a few years ago. The greenish-yellowish figure has not shown up. Truthfully, I believe that it was our granny, but you never know. It obviously wasn't evil, or it probably would have done something by now. I guess if it was not our granny, then whatever it is gone now. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. That person also submitted a whole bunch of other stories, but we'll get to them eventually. Excuse me. All right, and this is Ohio again. Man, Oh, this is actually the same author, so that's why. Okay. The next one I pulled up was by that same author. So this one has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches as well. It says, when I was about 8 or 9, I knew something was in our house, but I did not know what. My brother always told me about our granny being in the house, and he has seen her before too. I asked our parents about it, and they said that there were no such things as ghosts. I still did not believe them. One night I had the feeling that someone was literally right beside me everywhere I went. I felt like someone was watching me, and it was about 9 o'clock, and my father told me that it was time for bed. My mom was at work, and my brother was in his room, about 4 or 5 steps away from my room. My parents' room was about 5 or 6 steps from mine, and I was getting into bed, and I heard this creaking from our attic. It is right beside my bed on the floor, and I was not sure what it was, and I was getting pretty freaked out. Then something on my wall was jingling around as if something was blowing it. And the thing is that there were no windows open and no fans on. There always was not any air conditioning or heater on, and I started getting under my comforter because I was starting to get cold. All of a sudden, I heard my parents' door open and shut, and someone was walking downstairs. My parents' door makes a loud bang when it opens and shuts, and when you walk down the stairs, you can hear each creak on them. And then once you get to the bottom step, there's another bang. Well, I scurried out of my bed and ran to my parents' bedroom, and I asked my dad if Mom was home, even though I knew she was not because she did not get off work until midnight. Of course, he said no, and so I asked if he went downstairs. He told me no because he was reading the whole time. Then I asked him if he heard someone go downstairs, and he told me no. Well, I was freaked out, and then I ran back to my room and hurried to sleep. I was so scared that night, and it was not my first paranormal experience, but it was a scary one. That's creepy stuff. I think it's really creepy when they walk around and they walk right up to you. I mean, they can be right next to you. You hear those footsteps stop right next to you, and it's like, what the hell are they doing? You know, that's incredibly intimidating. All right, the next one's coming from Pennsylvania, and this one has to do with old hags and sleep paralysis. Sure it does. Of course it does. Well, we'll read it anyway. I'm having these nightmares, I guess. They are so bad I actually wake up sweating or crying, and sometimes even a combination. I think they're caused by the demon in my house. They won't stop. They're usually so detailed that it's like reality, and then they won't stop no matter what. I really want them to stop, and I'm actually almost afraid of them now. What they are these nightmares of my family, so vivid, so lifelike. The past few were like this. I was in the ruins of what seemed like a wooden house, like a log cabin. I could hear screams and wails from around me, and the house was on fire, and I suppose I was in a team or a group of some sort, because a tall man with a buzz cut was gesturing for me to run out of the house quickly. Well, I ran into a larger house and into the basement, and the stairs were wooden and creaked as I ran down, and now sitting on the cold, stony floor, I realized my father was here too. A boy came down with a gun and shot my father, and I ran towards the bleeding body of my dad crying, and I tried to help him, but he pushed me away moaning, and the last things he said were, "Get to safety." Well, I nodded and began to stand up and turn towards the doorway. I saw I was trapped, about to be blown up as a grenade flew towards me. Then I woke up. A different one was shorter and happened last night. I was in my school in the 4th or 5th grade pod. 4th or 5th grade pod. I don't know what that means, but this giant space large enough for a swimming pool, and I was crouched behind a trash can and table while something was shooting a gun. Eventually it shot my mom's boyfriend, and he disappeared. I don't know what happened to him, and then I grabbed a thing just before I was shot, but it only left a warm red spot, as if I'd been bruised, and then I woke. How can I get rid of these? I really hate them. But you have to admit they're a little interesting, sometimes very scary, though. Please help me. I need all the help I can get. That's the thing with dreams is it's hard. in many cases, it's very hard to know if what you're seeing is a foreboding, a premonition of sorts, or if it's just a symbolic thing, like in those examples that were brought up. It could be the change in a family dynamic. It could be a personal change. It could be some stage of transition this person's going through, where it's kind of, there's like a rite of passage maybe into a different element of your life and existence. And so death can sometimes just mean the transition of something, not necessarily a death. And so it's hard to know when to apply symbology and when to apply that it could be a premonition. And of course, those are horrible. Those are horrible dreams. And maybe it means that those changes are coming for that person in a scary way, in a terrifying way, or they're somehow terrified of them. So I don't know. I mean, it's widely interpretable, but it's hard to know. So I understand the frustration about those, because God, if it's a premonition, you'd want to know, because maybe you could change something, but I don't know. Not sure. So this one is from Pennsylvania as well. And this occurrence happened when I was a younger kid. I was in elementary school, probably about 6th grade. Me and my little sister and our neighbors, Brittany and Brandon, were sitting in my screened-in porch off of the kitchen of the house. There's a glass sliding door which leads to the porch. My parents were outside mowing the lawn and doing yard work, so nobody else was in the house, and we were all sitting around a table on the porch, and we heard a noise which appeared to be a tap at the window. At the same time, we all looked, and we saw a man in the window. The man appeared to be a younger age, maybe 20 or 30. His appearance was in a white-like manner, so it wasn't like a normal kind of guy. He was dressed in what appeared to be an army uniform or something of that nature. Now, from this, I can't recall if we screamed or not, but at the instant, this guy was gone. And we all asked each other if we saw the same thing, and we all agreed we did see the same thing. This was truly a weird experience. Now, from what I hear, people experience more paranormal sightings at a younger age. I'm 18 now, and I will never forget what I saw. Other sightings I've seen is, as a little kid, I would sometimes see a black cat in my room in the dark. And when I'd see it, I'd turn on the light next to my bed, and nothing was there. My bedroom door was always open, and a nightlight in the hallway would offer a little bit of light so that I could make certain things out. My family never owned a black cat, and this was just strange, and my little sister just said something about it the other day when we were talking about things we have seen when we were younger. This was weird that we have both experienced the cat. Yet again, as a younger kid, my sister and I would hear footsteps in the attic late at night. The only way of getting into my attic is through a pull-down ceiling. My attic stretches the length of the house, but has a low ceiling, which would have to duck down to walk in now. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my 3 short stories and my experiences. I totally believe that ghosts are real, and my best friend's great-grandmother is Lorraine Warren, who is a famous ghost hunter. She's truly an awesome lady. Well, I've not experienced paranormal activity for a while now, just a bump in the night once in a while, and I have seen a total of 2 or 3 ghosts. I'm not sure if the other 2 I witnessed were the same. But anyway, comment as you will. That's kind of funny, because I just stumbled across a new channel on YouTube, and it looks like it was just put up in recent months. But if you're interested in the Ed and Lorraine Warren stories and interviews and things they've done, there's a new YouTube channel. I don't know if it's still open. Let me look and see if it is. Yeah, not this one. Let me see if I can find it here a second. Hold on. Yeah, the channel is called Official Ed and Lorraine Warren Channel. And you get to see the old interviews that they did. I've only been watching one video now, but it's really cool. It's really neat to see those, because I never caught any of their interviews in the many years prior. I've caught little snippets of them on YouTube videos for forever, but now it's cool to see the interviews in their entirety. And so head over there and subscribe. I think that's cool. They currently only have 16.7 thousand subscribers. And of course, if you're not familiar with who Ed and Lorraine Warren are, they are the researchers that checked out many of the classic and huge hauntings in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and the Conjuring movie is based off of them, and of course several others. So they are they were and are, I'm sure, pretty impressive people. They really dedicated their lives to that quest, and so check it out. Again, the channel is Official Ed and Lorraine Warren Channel. So I hope it has something to do with the family and continuing that legacy. I hope it's not just somebody that posted one up. But either way, these interviews are classic, and it's great to check them out. So I'm really enjoying the one that I have been watching, and I'll continue to check out more of them. But I thought I'd just throw that out there because I just stumbled on it. And so, excuse me. Julia, you're such a good hype person. All right, so let's get to the next one. Okay, so this one I got to close, and I got this one. This one's coming out of Pennsylvania. It's a popular location tonight. That happens every once in a while. Usually it's Ohio. We get a hell of a lot of different stories out of Ohio. All right. I'm sufficiently hydrated now, I think. So let's go to Pennsylvania. This one has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches. Well, this happened in around the year of 1999 or possibly 2000, around the same time that my grandfather died. It really didn't hit me until he was dead, it really hadn't hit me that he was dead, seeing as I was only 4 or 5 years old. Anyway, I was in the living room of my house. My parents were in the kitchen cooking something rather, and I remember I'm 4-ish. I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. I was being a kid, so I was sprawled out, papers all around me, crayons in a pile next to me, and I was working on a picture of something. Now remember, I'm lying down on my stomach, and I'm only a tiny child. So as I was drawing, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. It looked like a person or a man wearing pure white pants and black shoes. But that's all I gathered. I turned my head and it was gone. Now, the whole image was only a few seconds, but being a kid not knowing better, I get up and wander the house, seeing if anyone was wearing the same pants. I asked my dad and he says I imagined it. Well, a couple years later, I'm at my grandma's looking at the pictures there when I noticed a picture of my grandfather, and he's wearing a white suit. And of course, being a kid, I don't tell anyone. I just store that information in my head and walk away. So, question, coincidence or Grandpa checking up on the family to see how we're coping? I personally like to believe Grandpa came back to make sure everyone was doing okay and make sure we're all helping each other, but I'm open to other explanation. Mine just helps my soul feel at rest about it. Yeah, I think so. I think that they do come. If they've transitioned, I mean, and it could be for earthbound spirits as well. We just don't know. But I think once you transition, you can come and go anywhere. You can do anything. You can be anywhere with a thought, I think. I think the earthbound spirits are more stuck to their earthly existence. And, since they haven't transitioned, they're not really in that connection with the universal divine, whatever you want to call it. But I think once a soul transitions to the other side, they are, they're just plugged into this whole conduit that is the divine, and they can go and do whatever they want. Can rollerblade on the surface of the sun if you choose. Just saying, I think so. I've never rollerbladed a day in my life. I know that might come as a surprise, ladies and gentlemen, but it's true. This one's an interesting one, and I want to talk about this a little bit afterwards. It's a short story. It comes out of Tennessee, and it has to do with family friends visits. Some of you bear with me on this story because it happened in 1994. I may not remember some of it, but I'll do my best. One morning between 3 and 3:30 a.m., I was going back home from an old girlfriend's house, and as I was driving along a stretch of highway, I actually started to doze off. So I woke up and thinking to myself, it's only 10 more miles. It's 10 more miles. Now, as I kept driving, I smelt a smoke. And I don't smoke, and my girlfriend didn't smoke either. It was a cigar smell, the smell I remember that my dad smoked. It was the smell of a Dutch Master cigar, the kind that he smoked. My dad died in 1991. And as I kept driving, I dozed off again, and then all of a sudden a voice woke me up saying my name. Wake up! So as I woke up, I found myself about 3 inches from hitting a guardrail and a 20-foot embankment behind it. So needless to say, I stopped just in time. So as I sat there thinking about the voice, it sounded like my dad's voice. So I found the nearest store parking lot just to get some sleep, but I kept smelling the scent of the Dutch Master cigar. Finally, I decided to go to my brother's house, who lived another 3 miles from the store, and I told him about it, and his face turned white. He said to me the same thing happened to him the year before. That's awesome. Now, a situation like that, of course, smells are a pretty important way that I think that spirits can communicate with us. And I think, I don't know if I'm sure every one of you out there has experienced this, where you're just doing whatever you're doing, and suddenly a scent will hit you, and it'll bring you back to this memory of some place in your life, some experience in your life, and sometimes it's just an innocent association, like, maybe somebody baked a pie or something, or, whatever, and you just happen to catch that little whiff of it. Our sense of smell is actually pretty profound for the most part. And we're not like bloodhounds, but, we can pick up scents pretty well. So some of it is just an innocent association, but I think that sometimes those smells are given to us and sent to us to bring us back to a memory. And that's a way to know possibly who's looking over you at that moment, who's there visiting. And I think that they are an indication and an easy way for a spirit to make their presence known, because I actually think the sense of smell is incredibly powerful for us in an emotional level. Like we translate the smells with a certain time of our life. If it's the smell of a hot car when you got in some summer day or something, or just the smell of fresh cut lawn after your dad would mow, or something like that. And those are very symbolic and powerful. And I think that they're given to us as manners to express that. But I think that also we need to be careful with smells as part of, like, if you're ever investigating, you need to be careful about using smell as an indicator of a spiritual presence, because a lot of houses have woodwork, and wood does absorb smells through the years, and certainly changes in temperature and humidity can cause the wood to release smell. And so, like a pipe smoke in a house where someone used to smoke pipe that has a lot of woodwork may just be a function of the temperature or the humidity or a barometer or whatever, causing the wood to release the smell. Just natural, like wood almost respirates, it contracts, it expands, and as it does, scents leave and are emitted. So I think that smell can be a powerful measure, but it needs to be quantified as much as you can. But I think it's cool. I think it's an easy way for them to communicate with us, because quite honestly, most of us aren't aware enough for them to just go, "Hey, I'm here. What's going on?" It'd be great if we could. It would be so beautiful if we could just receive that well. Maybe someday we will, but for now, we're still kind of stuck with the guesswork. All right. I'm going to look at the clock here and see how we're doing. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're doing just fine. We got about, God, it's really flown by. It's already almost 10 till. That's crazy. I don't know how the time goes so fast here on the portal, but it definitely does, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll keep reading. I'll pull up a couple more. We'll see what we can get into before the end of our show. It's always hard to stop the shows. It's easy to start them. It's just hard for me to stop them. And it's because, honest to God, I love doing this as much as what I hope you guys love to be here listening to it. I mean, I think a lot of you do, because you continually come back, which is awesome. But this is just such a passion for me. This one's kind of long. Let me see what the next one looks like. I guess I could read that one. That would be about the last story of the night, but it has to do with haunted places, and it's coming from California. Excuse me. This is actually my second time writing this story. It was almost at the end of when my page went blank and it was all deleted, so maybe it was meant for me to write it over. I've been thinking a lot about my past lately, since I've had some strange things occurring. And I'll be honest, this story does give me the chills. I've tried for years to block it out of my head. I lived in a house until the age of 9 with my mom and my brother and sister as well. My stepdad lived with us on occasion too. And I remember at night dreading bedtime. There would always be this lady standing in my bedroom doorway with her hands out, and she was a young lady, very beautiful. She had long red hair and always had a white gown on. She also had a round crown on top of her head, and it looked like little brown sticks were in it. Well, I was very scared of her, and I slept with my mom every night, but she would never wake up. I would cry and yell at my mom to wake, but she never would. And sometimes she would stand at the end of my bed. I remember sometimes running to my brother's room for comfort, and he too would see the lady at times, as would my sister. One afternoon, my 3 cousins were over, and we were all in the living room when we heard my sister screaming. We all ran to her room, and I swear we saw that lady walking towards my sister with her hands out. We all started screaming. My brother was telling her to leave. Everything happened so fast, and then she was gone. My sister was crying a lot and shaking. My cousins left, and they never stayed at our house again. My sister's boyfriend, who was also there, left as well. My sister had to meet him in other places after that happened. And I remember my cousin came over to visit sometime after that, but they never went in our home. They would visit us on the front porch. Years later, my brother and I discovered what had occurred. And he said that, my brother and I discussed, rather, what had occurred. And he said that he also used to see little boys' faces, which I never did. I only saw the lady in the white gown. We would also hear a lot of noise at night coming from the kitchen. And in the morning, there would be dishes all over the floor stacked up. Wow. I remember it happened so often that we got used to it. In our bathroom, we had 2 doors with eye hooks on the inside, and at times the doors would be locked, and we'd get scared, so my brother would call the police. Well, they came out several times, and each time the window would be locked from the inside, plus the window was at least 8 or 9 feet high. The police was always amazed and puzzled because they didn't know how the doors were locking. They were hooks. One time a policeman and policewoman came, and they said that the house was strange and they felt it was haunted. We sure hated calling them all the time. My mom started changing and things turned ugly for her. So I was placed in foster care at the age of 9. My brother and sister were quite older than me, so they moved on their own, and I remember always being scared in the foster homes. I was frightened all the time at night. And I thought for sure I would see the lady again, which I'm glad to say I never have since I moved out of that house. I was told by someone when I was little to never go back to that house, and I never have. The house is located in Los Baños, California, and it's near the main downtown area. And I remember my mom had a lot of old pictures out on our back porch. My brother would always say they were kind of creepy to him, and we never knew who the people were in them, and I don't know why that lady bothered us all the time, and I don't understand why she had a crown on her head. My mom did get better years later, and at about 11 or 12, my brother moved her in with him. I was able to finally see her and take care of her every day. Those of you may know from my other stories that they have both passed on now, and I do continue to think a lot about that old house lately. I'm not sure why, since I tried so hard to forget about it. I'm curious to know why she would be wearing a crown. If someone knows, please share it with me. Thanks. Wow. I don't know. That's strange. I can only imagine. I don't know why. Why would somebody appear with a crown? Maybe it wasn't a human spirit. Maybe it was some other spiritual being, a nature spirit of some kind. I don't know. I do believe that spirits can appear however they choose to. So I guess if somebody was really fond of the idea of being regal or something, I guess, but it almost sounds like a nature spirit of some kind. I don't know. It's confusing, but I guess I guess people see all kinds of strange things, and it doesn't necessarily have a bearing on the actual haunting, but it is peculiar. But I don't know about you guys, but I think that was a decent episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I always enjoy doing the shows, and thank you for all of you who are here and have been watching. Thank you to all of you who are in the chat and chatting, and thank you to all of you that are sitting back and just relaxing, enjoying the musings of the Paranormal Portal. So, again, if you haven't seen the shows from Friday and Saturday, please check them out. They were really good. I'm very proud of those shows, and I feel just thrilled to have had such great shows. And they're all great, don't get me wrong, but that was just a really fun weekend. So I'll be back tomorrow night with more of the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors. I hope you will join us for our story time. And, feel free to tell other people about the show. It certainly helps us to spread the word and let other people know what we're doing here on the Paranormal Portal. But I guess that's going to wrap it up. Stay tuned for our next podcast coming out tomorrow. Hopefully you'll enjoy that and check it out if you've listened to our podcast and you like our podcast. And again, it's not the same thing as the YouTube channel. So the podcasts are generally 90% of the time are unique episodes to the podcast. So if you like the podcast and you feel like you want to help us out with that, then leave us a good review on iTunes. That would be great. If you don't like it, never mind. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us here on the show, or for me and my other personalities. So love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. again. Also know that I'm going to be opening the chat room earlier, so I'll set up the show. And if you guys want to come in and start chatting before the show, that's fine. I'm going to try to do it at least a half hour before the show time. So I know that we have some amazing chatters, people that love to, chat at all hours of the day. So I figured I'll just open that up early. So it'll be available for you. Keep watching for it. If you're not following us on Facebook, please do. Facebook.com/Paranormal Portal. Or you can find me, Brent Thomas, on Facebook as well. And Don is out there, Don Longbeard. And on MeWe, we're both there as well. So, and on Twitter. But I guess that's going to wrap it up. So good night, everybody. Take care. I will see you tomorrow. Sweet dreams.